Good evening and good afternoon. Welcome, everyone, to the Real Immigration Real Talk. I'm Anthony Ray on the Ray Law International channel. Thank you guys for joining us in the Americas, and good morning to all those in Asia. Want to reach out to you and say thank you for joining us. 皆さん、こんにちは。皆さん、おはようございます。レイドインターナショナル移民法弁護士のアンソニー・レイです。So we're so glad that you guys can join us today. Remember, this time is for you to ask your questions. We want to hear from you, hear what's going on out there in your neck of the woods. Give us a shout out. Let us know who's out there and where you're listening from, what country. If you have questions, go ahead, put those in the comments so that we can jump into those. I do have an agenda. We're going to talk about what visas are good for employers today. So that's the main thing, but we have a few more things to get to before that. The first thing I want to talk to while we wait for people to join us today is I saw an article that I thought was really interesting, and it's really, there's a lot of debate going on in the U.S. about this topic. So if you can, I'm going to get the information, put it over here. There we go. So if you can see from this article, it says Democrats renew push for green cards for documented dreamers. Now, setting all the politics aside, whether you're Republican or Democrat or neither, doesn't matter. What do you guys think about dreamers getting a green card? Now, if you're unfamiliar with what dreamers are, those are young people who were brought to the United States against their will. There's a set of rules. One of these days, we'll go over the requirements, very common requirements set for our DACA. So our DACA holders, most of them who have, that program's been going on for well over 10 plus years, a long time, and it's still running. But those individuals, are they eligible or should they be eligible to get a green card? What do you think? I mean, it's a really interesting article. I think you should go ahead and read it. These people are stuck. A lot of them, they have degrees. They're adding to our economy. They're in the construction, medicine, doctors, lawyers, you name it. They're everywhere, and they're so vital to our they're not just vital, but they're integrated. I mean, they don't know anyone else. They came here when there was, 1, 5, or 10. So what do you think? What do you think about giving or allowing them a path to get in a green card? That's what the push is here, and that's what this article is really pushing for, because, we have multiple clients who are DACA holders or dreamers, and, it's important. Our firm, we benefit from people who hold DACA. So let's give them in my opinion, I think you should create a path for a green card. A lot of people argue it's not against their will, but then people say, well, what's the law? But our laws aren't working. What good is it to say, hey, everyone follow the law, but we're not, as a government, as the U.S. government, not applying the law the way that it should be, or doing it efficiently as we should be. That's why we talked about the article on courts earlier, and why they should introduce those so that we can have some efficiency and maybe get through the 1.7 million backlog that we have. So those who are joining, give a shout out. Let me know you're there and where you're calling from. And the first topic we were kind of just touching on while people were joining is, should dreamers get green cards? That's one of the articles that's being introduced once again. I think they should. Our system's not working. If we put together a system that worked, then maybe they shouldn't, but it's broken. They're stuck, and these people are going to be stuck for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They've got families and kids and everything, and it just doesn't make any sense. We're wasting our resources on things that should be focused somewhere else, like, I don't know, healthcare or energy or something else. that could help the everyday American out rather than just pouring money or debating, having our politicians debate something that should have been solved a long time ago. So that was one of the articles I wanted to introduce while we while we get started. And there was one question as we get into our next topic. Before we get to the visa categories for the employers, which is our main topic for today, there's a question from the audience. Hello, Anthony. Is there an age cutoff for the first-time dreamers? And what kinds of other visas do they qualify? Well, very good question. Basically, there is an age cutoff. There's a date cutoff. They have to be in the US by a certain date and they have to be a certain age. If I get a little time today, I'll do that, but I'll definitely show you what the requirements are for DACA, which are the dreamers, and we can go over that. It's very precise. Right now, you know, people who are in that age range can't get it because it's not available. So it's a select group. I think they put it somewhere between 300 and 600,000 active currently DACA holders in the US. So realize, people, even if it is granted to them, it's not a lot of people. So what kinds of visas? There's no other visas they can qualify for. There is a roundabout way. Basically, if they qualify for advanced parole, they go out, they come back in, and they parole in instead of being here illegal. Then if they're married to a U.S. citizen or their children petition for them, they can get a green card that way. However, a lot of people really don't want to take that risk, especially when you've got a family, a house, a full-time job, a really good paying job. I mean, a lot of our DACA holders, they are doing really well, throughout the U.S. And, they're helping you and I. And again, as doctors, construction, you name it, there's, they're in our community and they're helping us. So this 300,000 or 600,000 people, give them the green card. Let's move on. Also, the 864 visa or M1, are they faster processed than the tourist visa? There was one question here from Cinnamon Rolls Every Day. Nice to see you, Cinnamon Rolls. Thanks for joining. Feel free, Cinnamon Rolls, to tell other people about our channel and tell them that, they can, talk and discuss immigration matters right here. Now, the I-864 isn't a visa. It's actually an application affidavit of support if you're sponsoring someone. So there may be another visa that you may be thinking about, maybe an F1 visa, I don't know, or the M1. The M1 is similar to the F1, which is a student visa. The M1 is basically for the trades. And basically, if you're coming to study a trade or if you're going to study for a degree, you would get the F1 or M1 visa, come in. And is it faster than the tourist visa? It may be, but they're completely different. It's, those are apple and oranges. Totally, there's two different focus there. So the student in the M1, those are people coming to study, learn, educate themselves. People coming on a tourist visa, they're just going to Walt Disney World, right? And let's see, there was a follow-up. I have told several people about. Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Keep telling them out there. We want to be able to reach and help as many people as possible. All right, guys. So the next topic that I wanted to touch on is, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. We just put a video out for the Eb5 category, and the USCIS has made some changes to the Eb5 category. This is a category for people who are investing in the US. So you have money, you want to invest in the United States and get a green card, the Eb5 category is for you. Now, there's two sides to the Eb5 category. One is the regional center program, and the other is just your direct investment. Now, I tend to favor direct investment because you control your money, you control your everything, and to me, it just makes more sense. However, a lot of people just want to go with a pre-made or pre-approved regional program, center program. And there appears to have been a lot of fraud or problems with that. So the government made a lot of changes. So what I just want to highlight today and let you guys know is, hold on, let me share my screen. We're going to share our screen again and then talk about this. So they introduced two new forms coming out today. Actually, let me see, the 20th actually. So if you want to apply to be a regional center, basically if you become a regional center, you can create an investment like a condominium complex. Foreign nationals can give their 900,000 or how much ever it is going to be, 900,000 for their investment. And then once that project is completed, then at the end of that project, those foreign investors get a green card for them and their family. Now, in order to set up a regional program, you have to have be pre-approved. And what the government did is said, hey, you can be a regional center, but it's going to cost you a lot more money, upwards of $17,000 to be a regional center, to get approved. $17,000. That's a lot of money. But they want to root out fraud. So this is a main form, or the new form that's introduced. As you can see, it's May 13th, 2022. And so individuals who are going to be in this program or regional centers, they're going to have to complete this application. Now, there's an additional one. So those people who put the regional center together, the USCIS is going to hold them accountable. Okay? What does that mean? That means they're going to do a background check, see if they have done anything bad, and they're going to really follow these individuals to make sure that they don't run afoul of the immigration system or business. So, whenever there's a good thing, there's always few bad actors that spoil it for everyone. And that's what happened in the regional center. Now, regional centers are fine. If you want to do that, that is fine. I really encourage people to just invest direct. If you've got a couple $1 million to invest, you have a company in your home country and you're moving to the US, go ahead, open a sales office. If you're doing trade, open an office and start, your business here, and then get your green card. Now, Eb5 is not the only game in town. There are other paths to doing that. Some of them we'll talk about, whether you want to set up a E visa or an L visa. Those are, non-immigrant visa categories. Then it will allow you to file under the EB1 category. Okay, so there's many ways to get here to the US and get your green card. Talk to us, and the EB5 is just one for those people who have a lot of money on that side. So that's a little bit. That's one thing I wanted to touch on. Those forms are out. The next thing. This impacts a lot of people. It's not a big difference right now, but the USCIS is going to increase the fees for Esta. Now, Esta is the program that allows you to utilize the visa waiver program. So if your country is on the list to utilize the visa waiver program, meaning you can come to the United States without first applying for a visa, then the fee for Esta, right now it's $14. That's going to increase to $21. Okay. So just be aware of that. That is, right now they're doing comments that should be in effect. Let me double check when that's going to be effect. That's going to be, the rule will be effective from May 20th. So depending on where you're at here in the States, it's still, May 19th. Are those who got on the plane on the 19th or actually who are coming in later in Asia, you're going to be paying $21. So a $5 increase. Inflation is everywhere, people. This is just another area. All right, guys. So what I wanted to talk about today is some visa categories that would be good for employers. So we work with a lot of employers, and you want to bring employees over. There's a lot of options. So I'm going to just run down the list. I'm going to go back over them and touch base on them. So for work visas, for example, we can do the H-1B, which is very popular but limited. L1s, that's the intercompany transferees. E1, E2, E3, those are our treaty-based work visas. We'll talk about those. H2Bs, those are our seasonal workers or one-time entry workers. And then H2As, those are our agriculture, people who work in the ag industry, or, farming and beef and all of that. Additionally, we talked to some, clients this week, potential clients this week, who were in the O or P, individuals who are outstanding in the arts or sports or motion picture. P visas for athletes and performers. Those are great work visas for them to come over. So if you're in sports, anything, you name it, let us know. We'll get you into one of those. Regardless, you don't have to be, Olympic level or, to get these visas. We've had ice skaters who qualify for their P visas, and they come over here, train with renowned, trainers in Michigan and Florida and all around the U.S. And this happens all the time. It's not just ice skating, tennis, whatever sport, you name it. If you are at a high level in your athletics, it may be motion pictures. It can be in a lot of stuff. Education, you're going to want to look at the O or P visa to see if you qualify. Next, R1 visa, religious visa, Q visa, which is an exchange visa. Not a lot of people have heard of the Q visa, but that is a way to get over here and work. And then also a couple others that, if we don't have anything else, we lean on is a J1 visa, which is an exchange visa program, and then the H3, which is a trainee visa program. Let me run over these a little bit real quick. So remember, everyone, I'm talking about work visas for employers. If you guys have questions, let me know. I'll get to them in a minute. Let me go through, let me introduce about two of these, and then I'll go to the question in our chat, okay? Keep adding those questions. All right, H1B. H1Bs are for our professionals. You want to think accountants, lawyers, doctors, engineers, market research analysts, computer science analysts. We do H1Bs every month, every week. That's sort of the staple. Unfortunately, the H1B tends to be the only one for those type of professionals. And unfortunately, there's a limit. There's only 65,000 for the regular H1B cap, and then a 20,000 for those with advanced degrees. Now, 85,000 for the whole year. Remember, I was speaking the other day, we have 400,000 new jobs introduced each month. So 85,000 H1Bs for the whole year doesn't even make it, especially when you have 300,000 people applying for those visas. So H1Bs are very good. You have those up to 6 years in 3-year increments, and it's a great way to get people here to work. There's a lot of restrictions and limitations, but we can walk you through those. It's not a problem. The next category I want to touch on before we go to our questions is L1 visas. We love L visas. Under the L1 visas, there's the L1A for executives and managers, and under L1B, there's individuals who possess specialized knowledge. So the L1B is for intercompany transferees. Think multinational corporations. You got a company in the UK, US, and Hong Kong, and you're moving your employees back and forth. Very common and a very useful immigration tool for not just large corporations, but even, startup companies. The L category is great. We're working with a lot of companies coming from South Africa in order to get those workers in here. The L is a great category, especially when the H1B is not available. Now, the L1 is great because there's no cap, not like the 85,000 that we were speaking about with the H1B. So L1, excellent. If you're a corporation, HR, senior manager, reach out to us. We can explain the process and get those key people here so that you can get the business you want. You want to compete. You want to, aerospace industry is booming right now. all the industries. I mean, you need to be in the US in order to take advantage of it. You want to have your salespeople, engineers, those key people here to get those contracts to grow your business and move forward. All right. So there was one question. Let me go back. Let me see. All right, let's see. We have a question here. My friend is a dressmaker, hairdresser, and has technical experience in recreational psychology. Okay. So, you first of all, that I always tell people when they ask, you gotta. I mean, even though you may be qualified, that's the first part, and that's great. But you also got to find a U.S. employer. So, you know, part of the job, and unfortunately, our firm does not do that to help people find jobs or find employers. We do for some of our employers, of course, they're always looking for internet engineers and certain professionals around the globe. But, that's not what we do here at Ray Law International. Our job is to facilitate that process and make it go smoothly so that it's a win-win on both sides, both for the employer and the employee. But for a dressmaker, hairdresser, one of those things might work. I would definitely see, if that person would qualify for a job with a U.S. employer. We'll sit down, look at what positions available. Maybe they may fall into a managerial role. Maybe there is, an H-2B option where I was speaking with a company out in California. They wanted to bring someone from, at that time, this is before the war, Ukraine, so that they can bring the person over and work for a period of time. Now, there's also green card options for these individuals. Let's say, for example, maybe they don't fit into one of these visa categories. They can always apply for a green card. Before there was limitations on unskilled, there's not anymore. We need people here. If you look around, everyone's hiring. So, great question. Going back to our list for employers, I want to go over the E visas that are available. E1 is our treaty trader. If you have significant trade, majority of that trade with the US, E1 is for you. E2 is our treaty investor. If you're investing, it has to be a substantial investment that for the type of office or business that you're doing. And then the E3 is a special visa for our Australian friends out there who are professionals. Excellent category for a lot of people. People who may not fit in the R visa category, they can fit in the E3 visa category. There's a lot of options out there. So let the attorneys, let us help you explore all your options to make sure that you really, really take advantage of what's out there and can get here as soon as you can. Of course, we want you here. So the E1, E2, and E3, those visa categories have to be authorized by a treaty. If you don't got a treaty with the US for one of those visa categories, you can't use that. For example, Indian nationals right now, there's no treaty that authorizes E1 or E2. China is another country where there's no treaty authorizing E1 or E2. So a lot of those companies, they're left with the Ls and H1Bs. But countries like Japan, Germany, France, they have access to the E1, E2, so their immigration arsenal is 1/3 larger, and it's so convenient, guys. It's the E1, E2, and E3. That's the route to go. Get your visa stamp at the U.S. Embassy. Come in, do your stuff, enjoy life. Life is good for the E visa category. I gotta hurry because I'm running out of time. H2Bs, those are for our seasonal and one-time entries. Those are usually people with a high school degree or higher with some experience. You can be construction, lawn care, golf courses, all kinds of things. You name it. Healthcare. Healthcare is really utilizing the H2B. That's why they keep adding more. We just talked this week about them adding on 35,000 more H2Bs. I mean, there's a huge demand on all these industries and sectors to get people here. So if you're a business, continue to talk to your politician and say, hey, we need another Forget about 35,000. We need another 60,000 on top of that because, there's just not enough people out there. Not enough. H2As, we're actually working on an H2A for a company, ag industry. There's a process to go through that. But the nice thing about the H2As, no cap, file anytime throughout the year. It's so much more beneficial if you can do it on the H2A. You'll see a lot of H2As in, doing farming, picking crop, harvesting, doing all that stuff that you and I benefit from, because I don't grow my own. I grow a few things, but not enough to support my family. But all the food we have, our whole food security really relies on people being here and doing the jobs such as farming. We're so appreciative for those individuals. Up here in Michigan, apples are the big thing. So we have a lot of people picking apples. So next, O visa, individuals in the outstanding in the arts, business, athletics, education. P visas for athletes, very good. If you don't know about the P visa and you're an athlete, or the O visa and you're an athlete, touch base with us. We can definitely educate you a little bit more. We may even talk about it one night or one time on our channel. Religious visas, perfect for anyone working with a religious organization. Don't hesitate, whether it's Muslim, Catholic, Christian, Hare Krishna, what is it? The Church of Science, all kinds of religions out there. So contact us. There are many options for the R1 visa. That's a nice visa because it's good for 5 years, and then you can look at getting a green card through that route. We do probably 2 or 3 of those each year, helping those religious workers and get their green cards for them and their families. Q visas, exchange program. This is very unique. If you're bringing something, that's cultural to the U.S., you can also get a Q visa. There's a lot of restrictions on this of how this works, but it is very viable for those people in that industry. Or if you're coming to teach, for example, and teach the culture of your home country, the Q visa is a great one. And to round things out this evening, we have the training visas, the J1 and H3. Now, if all those previous 9, different visa categories don't work for you, maybe the H3 or J1 is something that could work for you. A lot of people use the J1 to come over for an exchange or training program. The downside for the J is many times it requires a 2-year foreign residency requirement. And a lot of people just don't like that. Once they're here, you don't want to go. They want to stay. And unfortunately, under the J1, in many cases, you have to go back. Now, there are exceptions. We're not going to talk about waivers tonight. H3, the training visa, great category for medium to large companies. And the training program is very, very tough, very comprehensive. You're really going to need to make sure that you work with us. We usually help our clients put that together to make sure you meet all of the requirements for the H3 training program. All right, guys. All right, so at the end, there's one last thing I wanted to highlight for you guys. It's regarding the designation of Afghanistan for TPS. Yes, finally, effective tomorrow, May 20th. TPS will be granted for 18 months, meaning if you can apply for Afghanistan TPS, and once you're approved, that'll be valid until November 20th, 2023. So go ahead, get ready, file for your TPS, get registered. I know there's a backlog, but if you wait, it doesn't matter. Get in line, get that TPS, get your work permit. If you need a travel document, talk to us. We can help. And all our prayers go out to, all the people in Afghanistan who are still suffering, and all the people in Ukraine who are still suffering. All right, guys, that's it for today. We'll catch you next time. Make sure you subscribe. Please help us reach our goal this month. By the end of May, we want to hit 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. We've got a lot of new content out there, and we've got a whole lineup of great videos on various topics that I think you're going to enjoy. So thank you guys. Until next time, you guys, stay safe, stay educated, and stay on the right immigration path. Mata ne.